All right, 3, 2, 1.
What up, PC Universe? Welcome to One Glove Podcast. I'm Honor.
I'm Zaff,
And Ninja Stitch.
behind the keyboard. So, what's new with you, man?
These.
Oh, yes, we have. So this is by request of Ninja Stitch because I'm
A sadist.
a sadist, a bit
With
of a
spicy
lover of
food.
spice. Apparently, our local shops are now doing sweet heat Skittles. Now they sound disgusting, but apparently we do have to try it. So let's just get rid of that.
What are the flavors?
There's flavors.
Look on the back.
Oh, okay. Let's have a look. So we have fiery watermelon, sizzling strawberry, blazing mango, lemon spark, and flaming orange. Okay. So
Was there 2 oranges then?
no. There's a flaming orange, and there's a fiery watermelon. That's probably why. So I'm just gonna pick at random, also because I'm colorblind. So
So you've got a lemon,
I got a lemon. I got
Ooh.
orange, and watermelon.
orange and watermelon.
This
He's
is the watermelon?
colorblind, folks. So
Oh, I'm
watermelon?
colorblind. Don't
that'd
I?
be watermelon. That looks like watermelon. I can see it's not very orange.
Watermelon. I'm gonna try the lemon one first.
Oh wait, is it watermelon?
What's that one?
Watermelon looks really dark. That's orange.
Orange.
Try a lemon one. It's the easiest one to identify.
I'm going to go watermelon.
Okay, I'm gonna try lemon.
I don't know if that is watermelon.
It's like ASMR. I can't taste.
It's not hot.
I can't taste any spice. All I taste is Skittles.
Yeah.
Well, I should have expected that though, because this is made for like the casual eater, right? And I eat some pretty spicy stuff.
I'm a casual eater. I can't taste anything.
There's a little tingle. It's more of a tingle than a spice. Ooh, that one's tasty.
The watermelon's tasty, huh?
Is that watermelon? No. It might
There's
be.
a racial joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's somewhere.
Oh, hey.
No, I got a little bit of tingle in my throat, but because the spice actually doesn't have a flavor to it, it doesn't fuck with the flavor at all.
I can't tell if it's actual spice or if it's the heat from me crushing shit up in my mouth.
Ooh, that was a watermelon. It was also tasty.
Maybe you got to do
Smash
a
it.
whole handful.
Oh, you do that.
No, I'm not going to do that.
I don't want people to hear us chewing for 10 minutes. Because all they have.
I was anticipating something like the jerky, but jerky.
And look at Ninja Stitch. She's just eating fucking marshmallows. All right, man.
Yeah, that was anticlimactic.
Yeah, that was very anticlimactic, man. My hands are still sore from work this week.
Yeah.
We moved I don't know, it must be like 4 or 5 tons of carpet. Tons.
I do that for a morning workout.
Tons?
Yeah.
Eat a dick. All right. You know how long it
baby.
takes to pull up and fucking move the. Oh, don't
Jeff,
you
I'm
start with that stuff.
Moving some carpet. I have to.
You should come. You should come do a job with us and see.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, actually,
I'll
we could use your manpower. Actually,
Got it sorted, mate.
yeah.
Show me
You
where
busy
it's
on?
at.
You busy on Monday? We got a big job coming up.
I have to
Be somewhere.
deal with the
He's old though.
the
He won't be
CPAP.
able to handle it.
CPAP masses. I'll be able to run circles around both of you
Ha
sometime,
bullshit.
It's a big
Nah,
circle,
mate.
though, man. It's a big.
You have a bad back.
even with a bad back.
You have a bad back. Carpet work is the worst thing that you could possibly do.
I'm not afraid of a challenge.
Can I have a bullet?
Yeah. All right. Well, we do actually have Ninja Stitch back. She was away for episode from 2 episodes ago.
For the Book of Mormon.
Because she actually went to watch the Book of Mormon. So do you want to give us your little personalized review for that?
It was really good.
It was really, come on, you have to give me more than it was really good.
I am not giving anything away. Go see it.
Go see it.
Go see the Book of Mormon.
okay, was it what you expected? Like, what'd you go in and what did you expect of the Book of Mormon?
I had no idea what to expect. I literally thought I was going to see like some mundane musical. I didn't look it up. My brother bought me a ticket and he knew what it was about. That's why he wanted to go see it. I was a bit weirded out that he'd wanted to go see a musical anyway, but I was like, okay. And I was like, is is it going to be Christian songs? Because it's been about 10 years since I've like sat and listened to Christian songs. He said, you might be all right. It's like he said, they'll be singing some Christian, like I don't know. It's the Book of Mormon. It's gonna be fine. Anyways, and then they started, and I was like, is that the voice actor, like one of the creators of South Park? And Sam said, yeah, that's the guys from South Park made this. And I suddenly knew like
exactly what to expect.
Well, yeah. But still, it blew my noodle. It was so good.
That sounds kinky. Blew my noodle.
I think those things are kicking a heap. So it was funny?
Oh.
Like
it was
if you broke it down into percentage of time, how much of that were you laughing?
95.
Oh, that's a pretty high percentage. She's not particularly hard to make laugh. She's fairly simple-minded. But, see, she even laughed at her own detriment. But, you know, if she's laughing for 95% of the time, that's pretty good indication, even for a simpleton. I'm just going in today for some reason. I'm in a mood to just fucking rag on Stitch again. But
go on in.
Yeah, let's not do a whole episode of ragging on Stitch, shall we?
So it was a musical comedy?
Yeah.
Alrighty, so that's it there. I actually do want to go see it.
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, I've heard really good things. I've got a mate who's in Perth that I reckon would love to see it. I think he's coming over in April, so I'm like, let's go on a little man date and let's go have a look at it.
Is it taking the piss out of the Book of Mormon?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the Mormon community probably not
apparently
too happy about it?
Apparently they laughed. Because apparently, so I got told some of the nicest, if you bump into Mormons, they're some of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life.
Yeah.
And they're so sweet and accepting. And someone told me, I don't know how true this is, that they can laugh at themselves.
Maybe.
That they believe that a lot of things are
you're
metaphorical
feeling the spice?
and
okay.
Oh,
is someone being a little bitch about it now? Are they?
No, it's just a little bit of a tingle.
It's just a little bit of a tingle, is it?
Yeah.
Look at you getting all a little sensitive, getting uncomfortable in your chair. Huh?
Sweat. No, jokes.
If you start to sweat, I'd slap you.
Keep going. So the Mormon people have been finding it quite funny? I've been laughing at them.
I can't say that.
Yeah. But, I don't find that too hard to believe considering they're a fairly new religion. So, do you know the history?
So do you want me to read the synopsis?
I know a little bit about Mormons. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some dude called Joseph Smith.
Yeah.
And he pulled something out of a hat.
Gold text or something?
Gold.
Yeah.
I only am going by what I've seen in the Book of Mormon, so I don't know.
Basically, it was only about 80 years ago or something that happened.
Late 1800s.
Oh, okay. So 100 and... It was not very long ago. It's a very new religion. Very, very new. So
the Mormons I've met have been pretty nice, though.
There was a Mormon guy who went to the school that I went to, and they're actually, he was a really funny dude. The dude had a really good sense of humor, and he would say some really outlandish shit too.
They didn't swear though, eh?
He did.
Did he?
Yeah, he swore like a motherfucker. He'd say shit underneath his breath that I can't say now because people would say it's very misogynistic and stuff. But like in the moment, it sounds very funny. But the difference is he was a teenager at the time, so I don't know what like an adult Mormon person would be like. Maybe they're a bit more serious. It's kind of hard to say, but
go see it anyway. Go see it if you can. Tickets are. I think there's still are some tickets available.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend it. And the set was absolutely beautiful. The most beautiful set I have ever seen. And I've seen Phantom of the Opera. Like, that was a pretty set. But this was just glorious.
Yeah. Now, okay, in terms of quality of the show, right, would you... It's kind of hard to rank because they're different genres and everything, but like Bill Bailey and the Book of Mormon, are they like on par in terms of entertainment value?
The Book of Mormon's more entertaining.
What's Bill Bailey?
Bill
Bill
Bailey?
Bailey's a comedian.
He's a
I don't
comedian.
think you can really compare them. I think you go to a comedy show to expect comedy, and you know the way it's going to be presented to you. There are some comedians who present it in a slightly different way. Bill Bailey, you know that he's going to present it musically. It's going to be of high quality, quite intelligent, and about interesting things. But you go to a musical, you're expecting a different thing to a comedy show. The production value is exceptional. Just the people on stage were so talented. The comedic timing was perfect. Everything was great. Yeah. It was just really, really, really good.
I'm gonna have to go and see it.
Yeah, it sounds interesting.
Definitely. We won't take you though because you've already seen it.
I haven't really been to a musical in years.
I don't think I've ever been to a musical.
I went to one when I was at high school. It was Grease.
That doesn't count.
Sorry.
What's wrong with Grease?
Well, was it like a high school?
Yeah, like a high school
production. That doesn't count. That doesn't count.
The problem is that when we were younger, Grease was absolutely flogged.
Yeah,
I saw it once.
How do you guys even know
months.
what Grease is?
Because they still did it in high school. Like they still did those types of productions when we were in high school. It just kept on going. Yeah.
But Danny Zuko, that's the Grease. Danny Zuko.
Is it Danny Zuko? Is that the one?
You mean John Travolta?
Yeah,
Yeah.
The character's name is Danny Zuko. Yeah.
What's her name? Let's get physical.
Newton? Olivia or something.
Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah.
Do you know the Let's Get Physical song that she sang?
Yeah.
She didn't realize that it was about sex.
What?
And so she made them do a music video that was like, let's go to the gym and get physical.
And it still made it sexual because they were wearing like that weird
leotard.
Leotard. On the funny thing, like some musicians who like change their mind and they decide to become religious, like Salt and Pepper.
Oh.
They became religious and they wanted to change their Push It song. Was it Push It? Yeah. Yeah, that song. They wanted to be like pushing up the name of Christ, right? That's what instead of sex. Like I think it's a bit too late.
Yeah, it's a bit too late for that.
A little bit too late.
I think you should just embrace that. You've already done it, so
just accept it.
Accept it.
No, it's something I've done. Move on. Yeah. Make a new song. You can't just ask a whole like generation and a huge populace of people be like, it's a religious song now. No, it's not.
It doesn't work.
No,
like
it's
that.
not.
No, but like you can put spins on stuff.
You can make a parody of it, I guess.
No, let's sing it from this perspective. I'd like it lines up well with some things. Like, not that I would sing that for that purpose, but putting that spin on your old music. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with doing that. Like they're not asking people, "Hey, change all your memories of this song. It doesn't mean this anymore." No, just think about it this way. Hey, we're like religious now, and this lines well with like praising.
Nah, I don't know, because when you wrote that song and when you presented it at concerts and video clips and all that kind of stuff and everything sexual, you're going, yeah, now that thing's meant to represent like religious stuff. Yes, it's not going to line up. Like if it was like a minor change maybe, but that's a significant change. Like
you're going from
give me that good D to
why did you hit this?
Yeah, hit that from behind to praise Jesus, push his name up to the sky. I don't know.
No, like, because when you would hear that song, you would instantly, like, if you're old school anyway, as soon as you hear that song, you would probably think the original.
Yeah.
I think of a can of Coke opening. Psh, push it. Every time I hear it, I want a can of Coke.
I can see that. You could run in an ad. It would make sense, right?
I'm pretty sure they have. That's why I think of it.
Yeah,
they have inceptioned me.
It's probably like a Coca-Cola ad where you like press the button on the vending machine. It's bullshit. And then they like...
This is cheesy,
That's so cheesy. But anyways, I remember you wanted to kind of bring up a topic because the other day
The Bobo doll.
you
No.
were pretty fucked off while driving and shit, right? So apparently, I didn't know this about you. You suffer from a little bit of road rage.
I do.
You do. Now, what?
Not to the point where I'll get out and bash someone.
No,
I won't do that.
but you'll stay contained within your car and
I'll scream my head off.
and cuss someone out. And
I'll cuss someone out.
so what? Okay, see, I'm a very chill driver, right? I don't have any major I actually I'm like the opposite of road rage. Like Ninja Stitch, she's an individual who comes from a family of road rages, right?
Yeah.
So,
Careful what you say.
but like for me, like I don't get angry at all. I remember initially when we started hanging out, you know, I'd be driving my car and we'd be on the road and something would happen and she would actually like go to beep my horn for me. And I'm like, no, don't do that.
You don't beep another man's horn.
You don't beep another hand's more.
You do
gotta
if they
touch
nearly
my
kill
radio,
you.
beep my horn. What else you want to do? Fucking pull my handbrake for no reason. Like for me, I never beeped ever, unless it was like significant or like you're about to crash into.
No,
me.
even when it was significant, they nearly crashed into you. They'd done something messed up. They needed to know that they'd done something messed up, or they were going to potentially cause an accident. You didn't beep them. You never
You
beeped
didn't beep
anyone.
them for that.
No, I
He
don't.
never beeped anyone. That's why I like got to a point where he's driving the car. Someone like cuts him off to the point where they nearly caused an accident. Maybe they didn't know or whatever. Like they didn't check their rearview mirror, so they didn't even have any idea that he was there.
I
You
reacted
beep
pretty
them,
well.
like-
You are chill.
yeah, but the thing
I'm
is,
so chill, man.
the thing is,
Ah,
people
chill.
need a bit of a shock so that they will check their mirrors.
Yeah, but I'm sure they got a shock when they get into my lane and I'm right behind them, and then I've pulled back because
They
I've had to
didn't look
react.
in the
to-
mirror. They didn't even see you there.
Everyone looks in the mirror eventually. But
Look, mine's petty.
what do you mean? So what
So-
type of petty shit makes you road rage?
It's gonna make me sound real petty.
I
when
know,
say this.
but
Okay,
it makes
like
me look real good.
when I'm in. When you're at the lights
Yeah,
and it goes green,
yeah,
and the dude at the front doesn't go. It takes him like 10 seconds.
yeah. That now I can understand why that.
That shits me.
yeah, no,
That absolute shits me.
yeah,
Because what I get angry at is because they're not considering the 20 people behind them,
yeah.
and you've got limited time for the green lights.
Oh, man.
And the green lights around my area,
They're shit.
that takes forever to change.
And then they're only on for like 5 seconds, 10
5 seconds.
Yeah,
You've missed the window.
yeah.
And that seems to happen to me all the time. What I get shitty at is because it's supposed to be real simple, and yet people still fucking it up.
Ninja Stitch is kind of like that as well.
Yeah.
For her, one of the major things is when people aren't consistent with their speed, like they're on the highway
Yeah.
and then they're speeding up, slowing down, speeding up, slowing down. And if they're in front of her and she has to try and go around them, and she'll start going past them, and then they'll notice that you're passing them, and then they'll speed up. That fucks her off. Something
And
kind
I call it the suction effect. So essentially what happens is they're not really paying attention to their speed because that's not a prerogative for them. I check my speedo like probably 40 times a minute.
something like that. That's not
I don't
bullshit.
know. I haven't measured it before, but that's probably like that's probably a low estimate for the amount of times I've checked my speedo and my mirrors. So like when you're coming past someone, they realize they're not doing the speed they're meant to be doing. They speed up a little bit, or there's just a thing they don't want to be overtaken for whatever reason. And what you have to do is you have to break the suction, because it's kind of like a suction effect. Like they vacuum to you and they start going the same speed as you, or they speed up. If you slow down and then speed up, or if you just speed up, you can break the seal, break the effect, and then get in front of them. So you guys are enjoying them now.
They're actually not bad, these Skittles.
Not bad. It's more. It sounds like mind games. Driving mind games.
Well, yeah, that's definitely what it is. But like, I've never been the type to be aggressive on the road, especially because you're dealing with like 1-2 ton vehicles, and that's just cars. With half-ton vehicles, which are motorbikes, and 10-ton vehicles, which are trucks. Like, you don't want to fuck around, and people lose their temper and start fucking weaving into each other's lanes and fucking brake testing and doing dumb shit like that. That's not me. Like,
I wouldn't do any of that kind of shit.
but we know people who do things like brake testing and end up getting into a car accident and shit. Like
That's just a stupid thing. That's just a dumb
Yeah.
move. That's a dick move.
there's levels to it, right? There's definitely levels to it, but I don't know. Well, I don't know if anger is one of those things that is inherent or it's something that you get like shown. Like Ninja Stitch's family members all kind of have a road rage type of thing, and my family members generally don't. Now,
Bullshit.
they're kind of aggressive drivers. Like my mum, she's an aggressive driver, especially if
When you
she's
say aggressive driver, what do you mean? Like,
I mean,
she's
like they like to go fast around corners. And,
Oh,
and
okay.
go, yeah.
His brother once made me throw up just from how he was driving. I got out of the car and I threw up.
anything makes you throw up.
That's true.
I know, but
Yeah, like
A fart-
farts,
a fart
farts
made
in
you
bed
throw
like
up.
make you throw up.
the year I was teaching, I got up every morning and I threw up.
There you go.
I
Yeah.
thought I was pregnant. We got like blood tests and stuff done.
Thankfully
It
not.
was just stress. We haven't procreated. Thank
Yes,
God.
queen.
No, but I think it's really interesting. So Zaff and I did psychology, and there's this constant debate about what is causing particular behaviors. The debate is more widely known as nature versus nurture. What makes us behave the way we are? Genetics or environment and our upbringing, the way we learned, the things that we saw, things like that. I think one of the most interesting things in this regard is children. So you were mentioning before that
Yeah, man. That was weird. Like, I think there's a bit of a nasty streak in our family. And when I say, I don't mean we're all like psychos or anything like that. But, yeah, I was a little toddler nephew, just watching him play with another kid in a like a sand pit, I think, and he just balled his fist up out of nowhere, just balls his fist up and just stiff arms this kid.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and he's just giggling his head off about it. The kid's crying and he's just still giggling his head off. I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? You know, it's like,
is that nature versus nurture. Some would argue that is probably more so nurture, like the things that the child has seen growing up, even if it's not the parents or the wider family, it's them seeing how other people interact with each other on some level. But potentially there's a genetic component
what
to that
can
too.
he have seen? He was only like
Television?
like two years
YouTube.
old or
Other
1 year
children?
old.
Other children playing
Yeah.
together?
It's the modeling of behavior. So like, is it the Bobo doll experiment?
So it's up on the screen right now.
yeah.
What'd you say?
The Bobo doll experiment.
What's
So
a
I'll show you
Bobo-
a really
oh.
quick video. A Bandura's social.
Yeah, so
learning
this is a very classical kind of experiment that they had in psychology.
I massively disagree with this, and I'll tell you why in a minute.
But basically, it's the to see how kids like model behavior and stuff like that. The gist of it is monkey see, monkey do, as in like if a child sees you do something, they will model that exact behavior or like a version of that behavior.
So the kid watches.
Yeah, actually, I used to mimic the way my dad ate.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah,
okay.
stuff like that. Yeah. But this is now the Bobo doll experiment is meant to be specific to aggression, right?
Oh, okay.
So can we just skip to the actual
So just for a basic synopsis of what happens, they were testing to see children watched adults play with a Bobo doll. They watched them and they had controls like the parent probably didn't play with a Bobo doll and some. I can't really remember. I haven't really read up on it in like 8 years. The parent acts aggressively towards the Bobo doll and some. And yeah. So just have a look. They leave the kid with the doll to see what they do.
Adult, they were
Watch the
left in a
parent.
room on their own with the same toys.
So obviously this like adult is beating on this Bobo doll, and then the kid is mirroring that,
really is
using
going
the same type of like a tool to hit the Bobo doll, just like the parent was. Now
This looks really old school.
it's old school, man. This is like one of the like the keystone or benchmark kind of
shows innovation, if nothing else.
experiments in psychology.
Every child who watched the adult being violent copied much of what they'd seen. The closest imitation was when a child observed an adult of the same sex. Now he's got a gun out and he's using that, a combination of the gun and the hammer, to just whack the doll. He's got a
Did
very
they do
aggressive
one with a
purge you.
kid not looking at footage of an adult? Just putting him in the
I
room
think
with
they
the
were
dog?
watching. I'd have to have a look at that for you. I can have a bit of a look-see while you guys talk about something. But this is my massive disagreement with this this experiment. So they're looking at learned behaviors. I'm looking at functional, like objective. So looking at an object and understanding its function. We do this by watching other people interacting with objects, and we learn what objects are and what they're for sometimes through watching other people interact with them. These children have just seen what this object is for. They know what this object is for because they've watched adults hitting it. That's not necessarily them acting violently. It's just them using the object for its intended purpose.
Yeah.
So I don't see this as like learned violence. I see this as replication of behavior specific to an object.
Yeah. So I guess in like psychology terms or stats terms, that's kind of like a confounding factor, right? It's a factor that they probably haven't addressed in terms of trying to take out. I don't know how you would actually remove that from the experiment, like modeling to a kid, rather than I'm modeling aggression. It's I'm modeling what this particular item is meant to be used for. Like the hammer is meant to be used to hit something, right? Like to put in a nail, right? But if you gave someone who had no idea what a hammer was and then, you know, whatever relevant tools and they've had no knowledge of what a hammer was and what it was used for, how would they use it? Would they use it as its intended purpose, or would it be something completely different?
A paperweight.
Yeah, exactly. Like, would they use it? That's a legitimate like use for it, right? Like, there was this exercise that we did in psych, and it was like just it was a way to test people's creativity and how much they were programmed into like solidified ideas of what things were for. So you would get inanimate objects that were just established things, like an eraser, right? Or like a pencil or like a hammer. And then what you do is you try to come up with as many possible ideas of what that can be used for other than its known intended thing. Like a hammer, you'd use it like a paperweight, a doorstop, you'd use it as a to hang something. And then the more ideas you came up individually or as a group kind of was a measure of, number one, how flexible your thinking was and how laterally you could think about something and how creative you were, but also how much you were constrained by those already known functions. Parameters. So that's kind of like a similar thing to this. But
Yeah. But basically this experiment, 36 boys, 36 girls from Stanford University, which is interestingly Stanford University Nursing School. I think it's interesting to note that Stanford seemed to have a lot of social experiments
that they don't do anymore.
popular. The Stanford prison experiment. Have you heard about that?
Is that the one where they like tied them up? They stripped them down and tied them
So
up?
the premise is you have a group of people split in half randomly. You tell them there are reasons for merit that they were chosen for being a guard or a prisoner. I don't know if the prisoners were told there was any reason they were chosen. I think it was just random.
I think I have.
Yep. And so they told the guards that there was reasons for choosing them when it was literally random. And they set up a prison type environment and they set up cameras everywhere, and there was no experimenters on site, I don't believe, but pretty much they were on site, they were observing obviously. But the guards they had a program that they had to follow, and they wanted to see if you could dehumanize human beings, if you could strip their identity away, how you could control them. But what it turned into was, I think it was a sociopath or a psychopath or something who ended up in the experiment, and he...
No. What happened was, very quickly, people fell into their roles of guard and prisoner. And then, because it was almost like a fraternity of guards and prisoners, like the guards started taking advantage of their power. They became
dehumanizing.
Dehumanized people. They became corrupt. They started making people strip down when they didn't need to strip down, abusing them and abusing their power. And it was only like 5 days of that experiment where it took a huge turn. They actually had to they had to stop the experiment because it became too damaging
Unethical.
and unethical. I believe like some of the people actually came out of that experiment with long-term emotional problems and stuff like that.
They did a movie on it.
Yeah, they actually they did recently
Yeah.
replicate it in a more ethical way, and it still had the same outcome where people just
It was done in the 70s or something, eh?
it was way back in the 70s or something like that, and they replicated it and it had the same outcome. People filled their roles and what they expected of those roles, and when they were unregulated, like they were in that experiment, they became very corrupted and out of control.
Is this like kind of a Lord of the Flies kind of scenario? You get a bunch of kids on. You remember that movie? And you got that group of kids, and like they split into two tribes, and then one tribe went all like kind of like basically sadistic, and they ended up killing a kid from another tribe. And then adults came, and they were like, "Oh shit!" Found these kids all running around and like their faces all painted up, and they're acting real savage.
Oh wow, I've actually never seen Lord of the Flies.
It's not. I think it's just a made up movie, but like
Oh,
I-
Lord
Yeah.
of the Flies,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've heard of it.
Is that-
Basically just anarchy.
Yeah.
But I've seen a program on. It was actually on YouTube. It's like another social experiment, and you get a bunch of kids,
Yeah.
and you put them in the house. You don't necessarily give them any rules.
You just put them in the house and
You just
let
put them
be.
in the house and let them go.
And what was like the outcome of that?
Man, these like the boys destroyed the house.
Yeah.
Absolutely destroyed the
believe that.
house. But towards the end, they actually felt a bit of
Like remorse.
like a little bit of guilt. So they attempted to like
Fix it
wash
up.
But they all pointed the finger at this one kid. They all kind of turned at this one kid.
Okay, so they were randomly.
Real randomly assigned, yeah.
I heard something else when I was learning about it.
So with this experiment here, did they get quite brutal? Did they?
Oh, they got very brutal. Can you read
So
out?
it started, they were arrested at their own homes, and then they were taken by the police. They were fingerprinted, photographed, and booked. So just like normal prisoners, they're blindfolded or driven to the department in the basement of the university.
They still know it's an experiment.
And
though,
then
right?
they knew, and they were getting paid $15 a day as well. So they began the de-individualization. So basically, like removing their identity. Essentially, what you do when you get into prisons. Stripped naked, deloused, had all their personal possessions removed or locked away. Stripped naked's probably not great. They were told to take all their clothes, but they were given prisoner clothes and bedding, and then they were given a number. So
A number instead of a name. So
Yeah.
it made them like, you're just another number type of thing rather than this is your name, your story,
Oh.
all that kind of stuff.
Those are the images I've seen.
no underclothes and a smock is all they wore. Had a tight nylon cap to cover their hair, and a lock chain around one ankle. And then the guards had the same uniform. Sunglasses, I'm pretty sure, were a big part of it. But whistle around the neck, billy club, borrowed from the police.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
A real billy club.
Yeah, and I think they were actually beating on some of these
I'll be able
prisoners.
to tell you in a minute. Guards wore special sunglasses and to make eye contact with prisoners impossible. But 3 guards worth shifts of 8 hours. Jeez, I can't talk today. The other guards remained on call. Guards were instructed to do whatever they thought was necessary to maintain law and order in the prison and to command the respect of the prisoners. No physical violence was permitted. They were observing the entire time. And within a short period of time, the prisoners and the guards were settling into their roles. Harassment began within hours.
Hours. Wow.
Oh.
They were using counts, which were, yeah.
Can we skip to what level? Yeah. So what's this physical punishment
What's-
bit? Read that.
They were taunted with insults and petty orders. They were given pointless and boring tasks to accomplish, and they were generally dehumanized. Push-ups were a common form of physical punishment imposed by the guards. One stepped on their backs while they did them.
Oh, that's a dick move.
They made other prisoners sit on their backs while they were doing them. Because the first day passed without incident, I think this must be a quote. The guards were surprised and totally unprepared for the rebellion, which broke out in the morning of the second day. Oh, I didn't know that.
That was a rebellion. No, there you go.
They removed their stocking caps, ripped off the numbers, and barricaded themselves inside the cells by putting the beds against the door, which is what you see in the movie. Reinforcements were called in, putting down the rebellion. Okay, guards retaliated by using a fire extinguisher, which shot a stream of skin-chilling carbon dioxide, and they forced the
Always
prisoners away
goes
from the
down well.
doors. And then they broke into the cells, stripped the prisoners naked, and took the beds out. The ringleaders were placed into solitary confinement, and then after this is when the guards began to harass the prisoners.
Oh, that's pretty.
So
They split them. So one was, and I think this was all orchestrated by the guards. There was a privileged cell to divide them. The least involved in the rebellion were given special privileges. They gave them back their uniforms and beds and allowed them to wash their hair and brush their teeth. They also got to eat special food in the presence of other prisoners who had temporarily lost the privilege of eating.
wow.
Yeah,
This
so
is a
basically
hardcore experiment, man.
Yeah, and
And
it's almost like a torture thing as well,
Yeah.
which is pretty crazy.
But that seems like real orchestrated. Like
You reckon there was influence from like the researchers themselves?
potentially.
Yeah, I wouldn't take that out of the equation
Or
because
there's someone with experience in the guard group if it is coming from the guard group. Because that is...
yeah, maybe there were students at Stanford. That's the thing. You don't know if any of them had studied like
I
politics
don't
or
know if
anything
there
like
were
that.
students.
I think there were students. And if they had studied anything like politics or anything like that, they'd be also quite acutely aware of things like torture tactics and stuff that they would have done during the wars and all that kind of stuff.
Did the guards have guard training?
No.
Oh, they just
They-
said,
they
your
were-
guards,
Yeah, so
This is
they
your
just got a
job.
bunch of
your
students
prisoners.
or kids and then they just split them.
Less than 36 hours into the experiment, prisoner 8612 began suffering from acute emotional disturbance, disorganized thinking, uncontrollable crying, and rage.
Yeah.
They told him he was weak.
Right, it's not even 3 days. That's like
They told him he couldn't quit.
1.5 days. That's insane.
They had to let him out.
Oh yeah, they would have
They
to.
said- But yeah, it would be interesting if they realized they had to let him out, or if they said, But anyways, I think the movie touched on this, but you don't know how close to the truth the movie is.
So
You know,
basically, like because of these experiments as well, there was a really significant impact on research, and that was ethics boards. So ethics boards, I think, were established after this because they saw that it went too far. So you now, if you want to do a research project that involves people, and especially when it comes to like social sciences, you have to present your experiment idea to this ethics board, and they have to make sure that no one's going to come out of it with any psychological or physical harm, and you can't even lie to people anymore. Like that's the tricky thing when you're trying to like deceive people because you want a certain outcome, but you don't want them to be privy to that outcome. You would have to lie to them. You're not allowed to do that anymore. But what you can do is you can deceive them, but you have to debrief them afterwards and tell them that this is the actual nature of the experiment. This is what we're running. This is why, because they found that the knowing of the reason for the experiment helped people deal with anything that they had to do with during the experiment.
This kind of freaks me out a little bit just looking at that there, because if we didn't have the rules and regulations that we have today, well, that's probably why they were all invented. Like,
here's a classic example.
Would turn on ourselves.
I
And
think I know
fuck
where you're
everything
going
up.
with this. Yeah,
Yeah, do you?
are you going with the lab coats thing?
No, Milgram.
Yeah,
Stanley Milgram. No. That's obedience. So basically, they were testing to see how obedient people were, and they thought they were electrocuting a guy in the next room. And depending on the presence of the lab guy, the guy in the lab coat, who was no one, he wasn't a doctor or anything, but they didn't know that. He was the authority figure. If they were standing right next to them, the propensity for them to shock at increasing levels to like a harmful level, they could tell was harmful because it was like a recording being played. They thought it was live, a guy in another room. But yeah, you're more likely if there's a authority member standing next to you to do bad things, but to listen to them, even though the consequences might not be so great. But no, I'm thinking of little Albert. Is that his name?
Little Albert.
The baby. So this is where ethics comes into play. We need
This is kinda
ethics
funny, yeah.
for reasons like this. They wanted a test to see if they could condition a baby to be afraid of a rabbit when there was no fear of the rabbit before. So
That's rough, man.
they give the rabbit to the baby. It's this soft, fluffy rabbit. Like they see what the reaction is. There's like no real reaction to this rabbit. And then they going from the theory of conditioning, you know how Pavlov's dogs, they started salivating every time they heard a bell. Have you heard of that?
No.
Pavlov would feed his dogs and he would ring a bell at the same time. And then after a little while, whenever he rang the bell, they'd start salivating because they knew that the bell meant food. So they wanted to see if they could pair, or they wanted to observe the pairing of this behavior. So they got a baby with the rabbit. They would make a really loud noise that would startle the baby every time the rabbit or rat or whatever it was came near it. And then they didn't have to bang the drum or whatever it was. They didn't have to make the loud noise anymore. Every time the baby saw the rabbit, it just freaked out.
Yeah. But
It was like
it wasn't a baby. It was
a baby.
an 8-year-old kid.
It was
Is
a
it
baby.
what?
It was a baby. 100%.
Are you sure? All right, you check this out. Let's see who's right. But I'm pretty sure little Albert is an 8-year-old kid.
Oh, look, it's a baby.
Oh, it's a baby. Damn.
That's
It's-
classical conditioning as well.
Classical
That's
condition.
mean.
Yeah. And then there was another thing of like having to bring that person back from being traumatized by that, like the rabbit, is how they like can recondition someone to not care about that phobia or like that fear.
I'm pretty sure little Albert died though, so they'll
What?
never know. Well, as a baby, not from this,
Oh man, okay.
but just is this him?
So like bringing them out of the phobias, you're saying?
Yeah. So there's a few
monkey.
different ways you can do that, which is like, there's one way is like you first get the person to think about the thing that they're afraid of
It's a rat.
and rationalize, you know, a more logical situation. You know, people are afraid of heights and stuff like that, but like, say you're afraid of just white mice, whatever.
I used to be afraid of dogs.
Okay, say you're afraid of dogs, right?
Were you attacked by a
you,
dog?
You would get them to think about dogs and trying to figure out what they're afraid of from that, and then you have to get them to be able to look at dogs. But what you would do is you just get them to look at pictures, and even some people who are afraid of like snakes and spiders and stuff, like they don't even like seeing pictures of it, right? So you have to get them used to that, and then you have a dog in the same room as them, but they're not having contact with it, and then they're interacting with the dog, but from a distance. And then it's like the dog gets closer and they're interacting with the person who's with the dog. So it's kind of building like these bridges for them to go over. That's one way, which is like the gradual way. And then there's the other way, which is flooding. So if you're afraid of a dog, what we do is we get 50 puppies or medium-sized dogs, and we just put them in the same room as you, and you got to deal with it.
Oh, that's that's rough.
Depending on the level of anxiety,
Yeah.
the resilience of the individual, and the trauma suffered that led to the phobia, mixed bag results. Like
Yeah.
I know someone who got attacked by a dog, and she can't stand dogs. My sister got attacked by a dog, her own dog. She can sort of put up with them. Like
Well, I was actually was a person I used to know, and she had a massive scar on her lip, and she goes, "Oh," I said, "Oh, where'd you get that from?" And she goes, "Oh, I got bit by a dog."
Yeah.
Instantly, I said, "And you still like him?" And she goes, "Yeah, I love him."
I love dogs. I got bitten by a dog.
And like, and I was like, "But they bit through your lip."
Yeah.
She goes, "Oh, it was that dog. It's not all dogs."
Yeah.
And then she started saying like you know, dogs are like people. They got personalities and blah 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 blah. And he said, "This dog that bit me," she goes like it was just a asshole dog.
Yeah.
You know that's how she put it. So from there, I started thinking about it and say, "Oh, okay, maybe the dogs that I had beef with when I was a kid, maybe
just
they were
asshole dogs.
Maybe just asshole
Actually,
dogs."
growing up,
Yeah.
we had a fucking asshole of a dog. This dog was like a rescue dog from a pound, right? And I'm pretty
shouldn't
sure
have been around kids.
shouldn't have been around kids or even other people other than the person who owned it, right? It was like a Rottweiler Doberman, but more Doberman than Roddy. And we got him when he was already a year old or something, and I think he was like a guard dog or some kind of not quite a police
So
dog.
he's been programmed.
Yeah.
Like that,
He's
like
been
what you
programmed.
guys were talking about
Yeah.
before. He senses a certain
But-
situation, boom. He's in
But
guard
he
dog
was
mode.
also, I think, he got hit by a car or something on his head, so he had maybe some mental problems as well.
Yeah.
And so, kind of just to make an example of how a bit of a dick this dog was one day, I was like probably 10, 12 maybe, and I was on my fucking rollerblades, just riding around in my garage, and the dog was eating his food. And I was roller skating past him, behind him, and my hand touched his tail. And the moment my hand touched his tail, because he was eating, he turned around and he bit me in the face.
Oh.
And he actually bit me right here in the eye.
So what, he latched on or just like
Yeah.
a little bit of a nip?
No, he latched on. He got a gouge out. And if you look carefully in my eye, you can still see the scar.
He nearly lost his eye.
Right in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Far out.
So we went to the doctor and they were like, if it was like 5 mil over, you would have lost your eye.
Far out.
So
But it was just because
Doberman?
he was an asshole dog, right?
he was an asshole dog. He attacked the postman. He fucking, like, my parents should have definitely put that dog down after the first attack. But he bit like 3 people, 3 separate people.
I think when someone explained to me that, like, you get asshole dogs and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and my view of them started changing. Like, I don't know if there's that whole wives' tale about dogs can sense your feelings and stuff like that.
Oh, definitely.
What I noticed was when I walked past a dog, it wouldn't get all antsy around me. It would all come up, like the tails would be wagging and stuff like that. Before, when I was like, oh, I hate dogs,
They're real.
they were
unsure of
like
you.
I look at them like, oh, I fucking hate you, and it's like they could sense that and like, oh, I'm gonna fucking hate you
No,
back.
dogs are definitely very perceptive.
Yeah.
Like they use dogs to help like people with anxiety manage their anxiety, because certain breeds and certain dogs who are actually like good at it, it's not particularly breeds, but it's just like individual dogs. Some of them are really good at picking up on anxiety and states of like anxiousness and confusion and all that kind of stuff. So what they do is they give these kids or adults these dogs, so whenever they're having like a panic attack or something like that, the dog will actually calm them down. So they really do pick up on your emotional states, like and it's
I like dogs now.
it's kind of been taken to like an extreme extent. So like in California and America, right? You're allowed to like register your pet as like a therapy pet, like they're there to help you manage your
I can understand that. I remember having a shitty day at work. I come home and the dog was like, I just love you. I'm
Yeah.
like, how can I be
Exactly.
angry?
But
And
your
levels just go, "Well."
people have taken to extreme because they want their dogs to go everywhere with them, or their pets to go. Not even dogs. There's like pet parrots and fucking everything. They register their pet as a therapeutic pet because there's no checking system, and they take them on flights and they take them to restaurants and they just take them anywhere that they want to take them. But
That would be tricky.
so
Here's a good example.
oh, what's this?
This is the function that is intended for therapy dogs.
You wanna put some
this
sound on?
this
Oh,
person-
does she not like dogs?
She has autism.
She has autism.
Okay. Go ahead and pet him with your feet. Good boy, Charlie. Does that feel good on your feet? Good boy.
Is she laughing? Oh, no.
No, so she's
Just
having
pet him
like
with your feet.
some autistic people.
Throw the ball for Charlie.
They can't handle all the input of information, right?
Oh,
that is,
good job.
That's going on, like the light or the sounds, or
Throw it for him.
and they start going into kind of a panic state. So for some autistic people, a dog can actually help them manage that like the panicked episode.
Anyone who's on like I've met so many people on the spectrum who cannot stand human beings and they love cats, dogs, like animals, because they can understand and interpret their behavior so much better than human beings.
Yeah, because there's no like you don't get dogs and stuff trying to lie to you. Like they'll lie to you a little bit, but they won't lie
Cats
to you.
will.
Cats are assholes, but some cats are beautiful. But they won't like try to lie to you in the same way a human will. They don't really try to deceive you. They'll try to deceive you like, I'm not the one who ripped up the couch.
Just stuffing it.
they're very simplistic
But there's
with
stuff
their.
in the, yeah, there's
Stuffing in there.
yeah,
What?
yeah. I'm not the one who
That hole was there when I got home.
exactly like, but
They're very simplistic in
Yeah.
their social cues.
Exactly.
Human beings, it's so hard to read like micro expressions if you
Micro-expressions,
have
people have
autism and stuff.
agendas. People have like hidden intent. Some are
Oh,
good, some
yeah.
are bad. You know, so that's why they do tend to relate with animals, not specifically dogs or cats, but just animals a lot better.
I was like that wolf guy.
Huh?
Remember that wolf guy?
No,
He was on 60 Minutes. He decided, like, nah, chopped everyone out of his life and went and lived in the forest with wolves. They actually integrated it into their society, and he was like alpha guy or something. He was alpha male for a little bit.
but for how long?
Not that long, because another one took over and he had to submit.
Oof! Imagine that you're just like on your back going.
Well,
oh no!
Well, he's doing all these things, like these positions of submission, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So like when you get a dog, right, and they're laying
yeah.
down on their side or on their back and
Yeah.
they're exposing their belly to you, that's I'm a submitting to you thing.
Yeah.
You're the alpha, I'm submitting to you.
but
because,
this guy is like, I've had enough of humans. I'm going to live with wolves now.
yeah, we'll see how long you
When
last
they
amongst the
bow-
wolves.
No, it's all over. It's all done and over. This was like 10 years ago.
Did
or
he,
something
did he
like
get
that,
eaten
yeah.
by the wolves?
No.
Bear Man did.
Bear Man got eaten by a fucking wolf.
No, by
Oh, sorry, by a
bears.
bear.
It was he went in the wrong season, so all the seasonal bears, like from the time that he went, they knew him, and like they were much calmer, those bears. And a new bear that was like a male or something came, or he went at the wrong time, and there were different bears there, and like he understood bear psychology, but like they just,
Not well enough.
I guess maybe thought they were the same bears or something. They ate him, and
Ugh.
they have like
Oh, that's pretty bad.
I would hate to get
they
eaten
have
by a bear.
recording of him being eaten.
Oh, that's right, because you used to record these interactions, and it's this bear came into his tent or something in the middle.
No. They just they're like, I can't tell you exactly what happened because it's from so long ago, and I don't feel like looking another thing up because every time I do, we stop talking about it. But like, they just have an audio recording that his wife has. No one's released it. No one's heard it except for the people involved in the case, and it's just he was out in the open, and he's like. He knows it's recording, and he's like, "It's eating me."
Oh, fucking hell. Well, I guess
that's
that's the risk you take with going into that. That's a pretty, like, you know, that's not like a pet situation. You're going into the wilderness and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I understand how people would want to hang around with animals more than other people.
Yeah, but you see, like fucking with
Especially-
wild animals is not. Like
Yeah, like
something to do.
that's something. That's another level.
Yeah. Actually,
You're going into their territory.
Speaking
man.
of wild animals, right? I had this kind of funny story, right? So we went to Japan a few years ago, and when we were in Japan, we went to Kyoto. We had this a friend of the guy that we were traveling with. He lives in
Family
Japan,
friend, yeah.
family friend. He used to live in Australia. He's back in Japan. He's Japanese, like half Japanese, half Australian, and so he speaks, fluent Japanese.
But he
fluent
speaks
English.
Australian.
Yeah, he speaks in an Australian
And we
accent.
were like, it's so nice to hear an Australian.
So useful because we had like 10, 15 days of not understanding anyone, no American or English accents or anything. And then we hear this like, it's kind of like a diluted Australian accent. It was actually really satisfying. But he was taking us through Kyoto, right? And he was taking up this like monkey mountain type of thing where if you go to like the top of this trail, there's like a spot where you can feed the monkeys. Like you have to be in a caged area, and then you can buy like
shack.
these fruit and stuff, and you can't put your hand through the cage. You have to let the monkeys grab the food from you. But on the way up the trail, he was telling us about the story of his mate used to run along this trail. And there's a group of monkeys there, right, who are just wild within the area. And the rule is when you're on the trail, if you have a bag, you can't have any wrappers or like food items or anything showing. No shiny shit. All has to be sealed in. And they shouldn't be able to smell it or hear it or anything. Because once they smell it and hear it, because so many people have come along the tracks, they've learnt that means there's food, right? So this guy had, I think, maybe a wrapper or something coming out of his bag. and when he's running along, and so like this kind of group of monkeys descended upon him, and they started wrestling with him for like his
How
shit.
big are these monkeys?
What?
How big are these monkeys?
They're medium, normal sized monkeys, right? They're not like
Oh,
they're not like chimpanzees or anything, but they're still powerful little things,
Yeah.
right? And he's fighting with this monkey, and it's like on the edge of a cliff, right? Like,
Oh, okay,
like
no,
as
that's
in
not
like
funny.
this close to like the edge of a cliff, and I think there was like a bridgeway or something. And he's scuffling with this monkey, and he's getting scratched up and bitten and everything. And he gets to a point, and he's just like somehow gets control of the monkey and throws it over the cliff, and fucking it just falls
And
off
then he
this cliff,
runs.
and he just runs away, right? Because all the monkeys stopped fighting him, and then like he goes back and he tells his mate, like his mate sees him, and he's like, "Are you all right? You're all scratched up and everything." He's like, I just got in a fight with a monkey, and he's like,
gang of monkeys.
Nah, that's fucking
Bullshit.
bullshit. There's no way. Like a week and a half later, or 2 weeks later,
No, I don't know if he told us the time. I can't remember the time.
it was very shortly after
Yeah.
a news article came out.
No.
What?
No. Kenji
Yeah.
went up to the mountain.
Oh,
He went
that's
up
right.
the mountain,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Oh, guys, we're noticing something really, really interesting happening here. They have a new alpha. Their old alpha has gone missing, and they have a new alpha." And Kenji was like,
No way. So this guy who was fighting the monkey fought the alpha monkey of the group, killed it,
Threw
when
him
he-
up a cliff.
Yeah.
and that's why he got away.
And that's why he got away, because they stopped
Hang
when
on,
you
guys,
take out the
guys,
alpha.
we gotta stop talking about this because Peter's gonna get on our case.
Fuck Peter.
Yeah.
But honestly, he took out the alpha. They stopped fighting, and then they had to find a new alpha. Like,
And he didn't believe him until he heard that. And
yeah.
it
So
was
these
just-
are kind of like the size of the
Oh,
monkeys.
those snow monkeys, eh?
Yeah, those.
That's the cage.
That's the exact
That's
same
the cage.
Yeah, and man,
Where it all
if
went
you-
down.
It's funny
no,
because they.
no, this is
No,
where
no,
you feed them.
It was on the trail up to
He
the
would have
cage.
been like in the mountains somewhere
Yeah.
around, like.
And they snatch. They like, if you have the food, they're like, give me that fucking food. They're like, there's no like, oh, I'll take it gently or anything. No, they snatch.
I don't
and-
know. It depends. It depends on the age of the monkey and everything like that. Like how often it's getting food. Some of them just snatch it right from you. But I was feeding a mother with a baby on its back.
It was
And
gentle.
Testy.
I put the food into its hand. It had the like weirdest little
They
hands.
have awesome little hands, yeah.
And it took the fruit and it was just like.
I gave an elephant a banana in Thailand,
Oh, nice.
and it like slobbered me on the side of the face
Oh.
with the trunk. It was like so weird. It was like a cold, wet suction cup
Oh, that's weird, man.
on my face. I was like,
I am. My brother, right? We were in India, and we went to the I think they're called Panchkani, which is
Ooh.
like the 5 tabletop mountains in India,
yeah.
right? And at the mountain, like there's it's right cliff edge, right? Like when you go to the edge, it's a huge
Yeah.
mountain, and there's forest and everything on the side. And
Oh, hang on, you didn't throw a monkey off the
no, I didn't. No,
bastard.
no, I didn't. Definitely not. But so as part of this like mountain thing, there was like a spiritual person, like a psychic who was in the caves underneath on the side of the mountain. So you had to go down this fucking sketchy ass stone walkway, like stairway, right down this mountain. And I'm deathly afraid of heights, like really afraid of heights. And I was kind of panicking because I was 14 at the time, or maybe a bit younger. And we're going down this mountain, the edge of it, and I'm like, it's gonna be okay as long as there's a railing for me to hold on to. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm like gripping onto this fucking railing, working my way down these stairs, like one step at a time. And I get to a point, and the fucking railing stops. No railing and fucking cliff right there. Like I could step off and just die. I panicked, start crying. Took me about 10 minutes to compose myself, and I worked my way down the stairs. And then we hit like this plateau, like flat section just before the entrance of the cave. It's a pretty big flat section that they've carved out of the mountain. And my brother had bought these fucking buja, which is like
The food.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like food. It's like the rice kind of snack things. It's
Those are
fried
delicious.
soy kind of snack. Sorry, and He had like a pack, like a strip of 5 of them, and they were in like little individual packs. And we're walking along, and this fucking monkey jumps from the other side of the cliff where the forest is on the top of a tree, jumps the gap, lands where we are, grabs the fucking string of things, and he's wrestling with my brother
on a cliff,
on the edge of a fucking like cliff for this fucking like puja snack. And it fucking explodes and goes everywhere. Monkey fucking just grabs what it can and leaps off the fucking side of the mountain again back to the trees. And my brother's just standing there with an empty fucking packet. Like everything's going everywhere.
I can understand because Bougie is delicious.
It's fucking delicious. Yeah. Do you have any stories of where like you've been attacked by an animal from traveling?
Nothing funny like that. Just dogs.
When you were a kid, with
dogs.
the dog.
And my dad beat the dog up with a jandal.
Of course.
Yeah. Because I was like, it didn't even attack me. It was just like, it started growling.
Wasn't he a sweater?
Eh?
Didn't he rip your sweater?
Yeah. No, that was my.
How do you know that? I don't even know that.
No, that was it was in the other podcast.
It was another dog.
Yeah. But like, there's been like heaps of incidences when I was a kid growing up, and like dogs have just come out. And, like me and my brother were walking home from school once, and this is not fucking funny. And like, I freaked out so much, I kind of just jumped back, and my brother, like he's like fucking just jumped in, and he put his arm up, and the dog.
Oh shit!
And like my brother was just handling it like a boss.
Oh
and he's
man.
like, fuck.
Older brother, younger brother?
My older brother, and I'm behind him squealing like, oh my God.
How much older is he than you?
1 year.
Oh man, that
And
guy
then
got some balls.
it kind of nicked his, like it ended up with just having a little nick on his arm. But that dog had a reputation, once again, an asshole dog had a reputation for attacking people.
Oh.
Yeah, so that got put down. That dog ended up getting put down.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of like what you have to do with dogs that are kind of past the point of like rehabilitation. That it's like people have a really bad image of pit bulls and bull Arabs, you know. But like I've known people in the past who've had pit bulls and stuff like that. Like you're not meant to have them in Australia, but you know, fucking 10, 15 years ago, people didn't care and they had them anyways. And it was like a pink nose pitty, and this dog was the fucking sweetest dog.
I've heard this,
like. And
got a bad
super
rep.
obedient. Loved anyone that came to like the house, as long as you were introduced as, "Hey, this is my friend." Like they took, like the owner talked to the dog, like, "Hey, this is my friend," you know, and then like said, "Hey, you can pat him," and then it's all good from there. And this dog had because this guy was kind of like a clean freak as well. He had like a little mat that the dog could sleep on inside the house, especially when it got too hot and everything. Dog would never take its feet off the mat. Just, you know, always within the boundary of it. Knew exactly when it was meant to be. So it's just a matter of like how you bring up the, like some of it's like the genetics of the dog. They'll always come into play of like how much it's anger issues and stuff like from nature are going to come through. But it's also about how will you treat your dog? How will you bring them up?
Yeah. If you're going to be an asshole to the dog, that definitely does like you know, affect that dog, you know, in the sense the way it interacts with other people, just like people.
Yeah, exactly like people. Yeah.
I treat you like a, you know, like a queen.
I knew you were gonna say queen. You're so fucking predictable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now look, you walk around like royalty.
I am royalty. What are you talking about?
Yeah, because you're a queen.
Yeah. So on the thing of travel stories, right? There's a few different travel stories. I forgot, but there's kind of one that I wanted to touch on while we're in like on the topic of Japan as well.
You didn't wrestle another monkey, did you?
No, I've never. I would like to wrestle a monkey, I think.
Is this a rag on Stitch moment coming up?
Yeah, it is. So the reason why it's a rag on Stitch moment is just a bit of kind of context. Is Stitch is not the most perceptive person when it comes to like social interactions sometimes, right? So
Queen oblivious.
She's quite oblivious when it comes to the intricacies of like awkward situations and stuff like that. And we were in Japan, and we hadn't had a chance to go out clubbing or anything while we were in Japan. and we're in Tokyo, and we're like, this would be the ideal place to go clubbing. So we're like, all right, we'll do it on this night. Take the train in, and you know, we get a feed and everything, and we're like, all right, let's go and try and hit a club. We Google the closest club that would be, you know, the one that, like a hip hop one that we'd want to go to or something. And we're walking on the way there, and this kind of like Nigerian guy, I think it was a Nigerian guy, just pops out of fucking nowhere. And he's like, hey, where do you guys want to go? Like, where are you trying to go? And we're like, oh, we want to go to this thing called Casablanca, was the name of the club. And he goes, oh, I'll take you there. And we're like, are you sure? And I was like, I was a little bit suspicious. I was like, all right, cool. You know, we'll follow you along for a moment. But he actually walked us to the club, and we're outside the club, and it's underground. So you'd actually have to go down these stairs before you can buy the tickets and everything to get into the club. And there are like two other Nigerian guys there, like with this other Nigerian guy. And he's like, hey, did you want to buy tickets to get into the club? And we're like, yeah, we'll just go down and we'll buy them when we're down there. And he was like, oh no, we can give you like discounted tickets, right? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, oh yeah, you can just buy the tickets off us now, and then and when you go down there, you can
shake down.
Yeah, you can just get in. And I was like, I don't know, because you know, like I've traveled to other countries and I know they do some dodgy shit.
And Zaff was like, we're just going to go down and get the tickets. And I was like,
No, she's like, why don't we just buy here if it's cheaper? You know,
No,
like that just makes sense.
I think I was tired and stupid, and I thought, this guy's walked us for like 10 minutes to get here, and I felt bad that he was getting nothing for
That's
that.
how they draw you
they
in.
guilt you into it, right?
But I was so oblivious.
Yeah, and I was
and
like,
they're like, no,
nah, man.
actually, we're going to go get something to eat. And I was like, oh.
Initially, at first I was like, nah, man, we're good. We're going to get the tickets from down there, because I caught on that they were trying to scam us. And then she wasn't getting it. So I was like, actually, I'm kind of hungry. And I talked to my mate, whose name is Kish. He was actually one of the techs.
He knew as well.
He knew what was going down. I was like, hey, man, are you hungry? Do you want to grab some food first? And Stitch is like, what? We just got here. Like, why don't we, like, and then they were like, no, that's fine. You can buy the ticket now and then just come in later on. And I was like, no. We're just going to get some food first and then see how we feel. And she's like, not paying any attention to like the signals I'm trying to give her. And I was like, Stitch, we gotta go. Like, I'm really fucking hungry. I actually gotta go eat now. And we're walking away. She's like, what the fuck is going on, guys? Like, what happened there? And I was like, could you not see that they were trying to scam us? They were like trying to sell us like fake tickets, because you'd get down there and you'd have to buy tickets again, and they weren't selling them for like particularly cheap or anything. But yeah, she's not the most observant when it comes to those types of things. Like,
Yeah, like we were in the
Happens to
shopping
the
center.
best of us. Happens to the best of us.
yeah,
I got
think-
sucked in by the Fijian swordmen.
What?
You know the Fijian swordmen?
Well, no, I don't. What's
Like, oh, sorry, yeah. Like they,
Racist? Did
No,
you
they-
just
they,
assume
just
his...
assume my knowledge?
what was that?
Oh, I accidentally hit spacebar.
Yeah, they kind of hang out around the where the cruisers come in, the cruise ships come in, or they just target tourists around Fiji, and they go, "Oh, this is a gift for you. It's for free." Blah 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 blah, and they just give you all the stuff. And as you walk, oh, can I have $20? And they kind of,
they guilt you into it.
yeah. But what they say is that this can be put through customs. It's got a seal of approval. It's got the stamp on the back. But it's not.
It's not.
This is a hunk of wood that it's nothing special.
Yeah, it's
And
like one of this thing like I got from New Zealand, but that was like
No,
legit.
that's different.
But that's legit though.
Yeah, that's legit. But it's got like a shoddy little stamp,
Yeah.
something like that. And he goes, "Oh, you can get it through customs," and they carve your name into it. Because it's like a sword, like a wooden sword.
Make it like super personal.
Yeah. He goes, "What's your name?" And they carve your name into it, and they're like, "Oh, it's a gift from Fiji." And then they go, "Oh, can I have money? Oh, my family is so poor." Blah blah blah.
Oh.
As you're walking away.
Yeah, they hit you with that.
But like, so I got sucked in once, and I went back to Fiji again, and I was walking around, and came up. Hey, this is a gift from Fiji. Nah, mate. Like, nah,
I'm
mate.
good.
And that dude got so shitty.
'Cause he knew that you knew.
He knew
Yeah.
that I knew. So, yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got a few other travel stories, but we're gonna have to save it for the
Another
next
time.
Yeah. So we're coming up to the end of this. But thanks for listening. Please catch us on YouTube or Spotify, Instagram, and also iTunes. Leave a
Alex?
comment on here as well if you have any particular travel stories that you want to note, and we can
Yeah,
mention
have
it
you
and
ever
then-
been sucked in?
Yeah. Okay, that sounds a bit unusual, but yes.
Oh shit, sorry. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, when you say it
Yeah.
like that. Have you ever been duped?
Sucked.
Have you ever been duped? But you know, if it's funny
I wanna
enough,
hear
we'll
that
talk
shit.
about it on the next
I
podcast.
want to hear that shit.
What? No.
No. But
I'm lost. What
anyways,
are we talking about?
let's get back on track, people.
Filthy little mind.
Just tell us about your travel stories. If they're funny enough, we'll check them on the next podcast. And
psychology stories.
sorry.
Psychology.
Oh yeah, and then if we did get anything wrong with our psych like stories that we've talked about,
It's Mona's fault.
it's Mona's
Is that
fault.
the cricket?
Maybe there has been a cricket that's been
Yeah,
terrorizing
because I
us,
know
but-
heaps about psychology.
Yeah, but thanks for listening. This is One Glove Podcast. I'm Zaff,
Mona.
and that's Ninja Stitch behind the keyboard. Yep. One glove, one love. Always wear a glove. Peace.
Making love.